Hello, Jim 12's here. It is the 8th of September 2022 and I'm here on the Great North Walk again, this time above Berowra Creek, which is behind me and over my left shoulder. Today is, I suppose, my first walk in the bush of the new spring, and I must say it's fantastic to get out again into the wild. It really is. So I'm very much looking forward to more of these expeditions. Today I've called this talk "Where Has All the Money Gone?" Where has all the money gone? And I've got 7 points and a solution at the end, so don't miss the solution, please. First one, Liz Truss, the new PM of the UK, as of yesterday, I believe, and she promised for today, that is Thursday the 8th, to provide some relief against the cost of living. That was her first promise, to provide relief against the cost of living, which is going through the roof, particularly in England, soon to be in Australia, I suspect. Now, okay, has she got the money? Is she going to print the money? Where is it going to come from? And if she has it, that doesn't make sense. If she's going to print it, that does make sense, because that therefore devalues everybody's money in the long run. And if you pay it off, that's going to cost taxpayers in the future. So it's a short-term fix at best. So I'll leave that one with you, number one. Number two, I also heard in the last couple of days about the idea of some countries capping rent so that people's rents wouldn't go sky high. So if you like, there's a break on the trajectory of inflation and impending recession. But again, both that one and the first one increase the dependence upon government, the state, to look after us, to support us. Is that what government should be doing? Should they be, if you like, the nanny? Number three, a week or so ago I heard that in England, flights from all airlines into and out of London would be cut by 10,000 over the Christmas season. So that's a plan now to cut the number of flights in and out of London over the Christmas holiday season. So if we've seen chaos at airports, we've seen nothing yet. And arguably, if you cut the number of flights, then that means the ones that are running will be more expensive and less affordable for everybody. So fewer people will fly. This is very dear to me because my wife and I are planning a trip, God willing, to the Northern Hemisphere next year. So the number of flights is very interesting. The reason I'm often hearing is because of lack of pilots. Why all of a sudden there's a lack of pilots? Was there not a lack of pilots before the COVID so-called pandemic? Or are the pilots sick? Or have they been injured by an experimental treatment, drug, that they've taken, but nobody's saying that. I don't think it is actually a lack of pilots. To me, it's more like a government from on high across the Western world decision to cut the number of flights because you can't have electric planes. And they are massive polluters, massive users of petrochemicals. Number 4. Think about mass psychology. Now, in Australia, where Anthony Albanese has been recently elected as the new PM, Labor, more or less, I think, simultaneously to his election in May, the major corporations started advertising their green agenda. So it says, let me quote, for example, Woolworths. They are claiming they're doing the right thing to get to net zero within target. They're doing everything. Their colour scheme is entirely green. Everything about them is green. It seems ironic that we're getting that input into our psyche at the same time as the government is bringing in their agenda with the Teals, the surrogate Labour Party. Yesterday I was in Bunnings returning some goods, and I noticed on the wall there was a big screen, pretty big digital screen, displaying the solar production from the roof of that particular Bunnings and how much electricity. And there I was saying, yeah, the sun was out in the morning and the clouds came in the afternoon and the graph dipped and it went up a little bit at tea time and then down again as the day wore on. And I'm thinking, that's interesting that they would put that there where I'm waiting in the queue to just see and appreciate that Bunnings are going green. They have got a solar panel system on the roof. I wonder how much that costs. Was it subsidised? Who's paying for it? But it's subliminally telling you, yeah, if you haven't got a solar system, maybe you should think about having a solar system. That might save you a lot of money. Number 5. I heard that this is sort of in the perimeter to the Ukraine conflict. I heard that the OPEC countries were considering cutting fuel production, and the reason, because they want to keep the price of petrol high, obviously to make more money. So at a time when there's scarcity and what there is really expensive, they're considering cutting to keep the price high and going higher. I find that incredible. And therefore, if petrol and diesel and all that are more expensive, then that's going to make the so-called green energy cheaper by default. Number 6. Just a thought about the dependence on the state. Now, we all remember that when the so-called epidemic hit us a couple of years back, the governments around the world, particularly Australia, we were aware of, had their JobKeeper money pouring in. So people were being paid to do nothing. Again, that umbilical cord with the state, dependence on the state. Where was that money coming from? Was it being printed? Now, and number 7, my last one today. There's a massive recession coming. I think the media might pretend that they are going to be surprised and hope it won't happen, but to me, with all the printing of money that's been going on, and the planned inflation, and the planned raise in mortgage rates, etc., this is not a surprise. This was all part of the plan to make us more dependent on the state. So are we prepared for this onslaught? I call it a war, actually. Are we prepared for this war? Are we aware that it is a war already? A world war on the West, which is the title of a book I've just purchased by Murray. I'll put the link below. So my solution. This is psychologically, emotionally and socially. Are we going to become increasingly dependent on the state and turn our own conscience and our own resilience and personal responsibility off? Or are we going to become more independent and detached from the state? What would you rather? My future and the future of my children and my grandchildren, I hope, will be more independent from the state. Just think of the cost of running the state. That is humongous when it gets bigger and bigger. I would far rather have a government that oversaw law and order, oversaw decency in operations, but basically kept out of people's way. We've got intelligence. All of us have been created with great intelligence. Let's use it. Let's not become slaves or serfs in a new controlled society. I think that's a lot more exciting, to be independent and less dependent on the mothership. Thank you. Bye for now.